Hey there, Jake Doucette, and today I have a video about the best aftermarket intake for your 1010 Civic. You're trying to decide which one should I get. There's PRL, K&N, A271. There's so many choices out there, and if your head just starts to spin, you start doing like a beautiful mind thing. You're going to get the full engineer treatment. As an engineer, I went through all the data, and I'm not affiliated with any of these companies. I'm simply doing this because I wanted the best answer, and I thought, well, I did all this research, we'll share it with you guys. Let's get started. I looked at all these intakes and I said, what are the different factors? 1, cost. 2, how much power do you get from them? 3, do they sound good? And 4, general looks and all that kind of combined into one. But let's be honest, the real reason we all want those cold air intakes is that sweet, sweet turbo noise. I broke it up into a 3-tiered system, which basically corresponds to how serious do you want to go with the car, and it also corresponds to cost. So basically tier 1, least serious, tier 3 is let's get ready to race, and we're going to go full bolt on with this eventually anyways. I want the biggest sound, that sort of thing. Okay, tier 1 is essentially drop-in filters. Like, literally, you open up your air box and you put in a performance air filter and you'll get more air in through there. So this one is obviously the cheapest. They range from about $40 to $50, and you basically have a few choices. HKS, PRL, K&N are the main drop-in choices. Out of those, PRL is with the K&N. It's a traditional oiled filter, and the oiled filters, people worry about the MAF housings. Now, K&N says they work fine with your MAF sensor, which is literally right next to your airbox there, so it could be a problem, but I don't know. PRL is a great brand. People love them, and we're going to talk about them more in this. And they have a dry filter, as does HKS. So tier 2 is kind of the middle tier, obviously. Honestly, I think it's a skippable tier. This is my personal opinion, and I will get to why. Basically, it is the short ram section of the intakes. They are going to give you more flow than the stock intake, so you're going to gain power. Not the max amount of power, that's the next tier. And you also might run into a second problem, which everybody talks about, is heat soak. Now, the stock box obviously heat soaks as well. It is made out of plastic, so it is more resistant than most. So if you're going to go with one from this tier, I would suggest getting one that's made out of plastic. The PRL short ram intake is probably the best choice because it's convertible later and it's made out of plastic. There are a few others like Takeda. They all test about the same, honestly, and if you look at them, you will get dyno numbers stated anywhere from, I watched Honda quoted 3 horsepower on these, where I've seen manufacturers' ratings all the way up till 9, 10 plus horsepower. So probably not in the 9-10 range, probably more in the 5-6 range. Who knows? I mean, it really depends on the conditions that you're going to be in, right? Like, is it hot where you live? Are you going to be driving in a lot of stop and go traffic? Are you going to be racing it? These sorts of things are going to factor into how much heat soak is going to affect you. Basically, most short rams are about 10 to 15 degrees over ambient, and so is the stock box. Mishimoto is questionably a little bit worse because it's a metal one, so anything metal short ram is probably not the best, especially if it's aluminum. It just wants to heat up more quickly. So that the short rams are good if you want a decent power gain. You want to hear the sweet, sweet turbo noises, but they're not the best, and that would be the next tier. So that tier, the middle tier, is basically from around low 200s for the cheapest, about till 300. Tier 3 is about 400. So for an extra, what do you get? Well, this is your traditional cold air intake. And what does cold air mean? It means it goes farther down into your fender well and pulls out actual cold air. So that's why they perform better. They pull in cooler air. The best I could find were for the PRL and for the 271. You're getting about the same amount of cold air, which is about 10 degrees less, so about 5 degrees over ambient is typically what I've seen for that. The problem with the PRL, well, it's a possible problem, is that it's possible because it's a traditional cold air intake, the filter is down in the fender well, it could cause hydrolocking. How likely is that? I mean, I've heard stories of people doing it with different cars, but I've never heard a verified story of somebody hydrolocking. I'm not affiliated with these brands. I don't know. But if it were for me, I would go for the 271. In fact, that's the one I ordered. Because the 271 one, you have the air filter in the space where a short ram would go. So it's in the engine bay space where the stock airbags is, totally enclosed in plastic. And then you have a little snorkel that goes down into the fender well and pulls in that cold air. Now, as far as I've seen from the PRL and the 271, they both have about the same sound, so they're equal there. And as far as quoted horsepower numbers, PRLs seem to be higher, more in the 15 to 20 side, depending on how you read their stuff, especially if you go with the race math. But 271 is, I would say, more conservative with their publishing. I would definitely trust their numbers a lot better because in theirs they actually posted their air intake temps and showed they had about a 10-degree drop in air intake temps versus the stock. So I mean, I really just trust the guys over at 271. Vincent and the guys do a great job of doing their research. I'm really impressed with their design work, and honestly I'll be going with more of their parts in the future, and that's why I decided to go with the 271 one. Let me know what you guys think is the best in the comment section. I would love to hear it. Also, if you're in California, I've got some bad news. Most of these aren't carb legal. If you want them to be carb legal, I know that possibly PRL and definitely 271 Vincent was asking, is it worth them getting it? So if you want that, throw in the comment section, say 271 get carb. Let them know. Let them know that you guys want that from them. Stay tuned. Soon I will be posting my install and before and after sound video on the 271 cold air intake. Hit that like button, subscribe if you want to check that video out, and I will see you there. Thanks a lot. Bye.